Data visualization using Matplotlib, object-oriented approach. In Matplotlib there are two different approaches for plotting, functional approach and object-oriented approach. The functional approach is based on the functional programming paradigm where a program consists of a number of functions. But the object-oriented approach is based on the OOPS concept where everything are objects, and objects have both data and methods. In our previous two lessons on visualization using Matplotlib, we have already learned the basics of functional approach for plotting. In this lesson we will learn how to plot using object-oriented approach. So, let's begin. In object-oriented approach, plotting starts with a figure object. So, we need to first instantiate a figure object. Initially, the figure object is an empty canvas. We have created a figure using the figure function. Let's display this figure. As you can see, the figure is nothing but an empty canvas. After the figure object is instantiated, we need to add one or more axes object to the figure. For this, we need to use the add_axes method of the figure object. Before we discuss the add_axes method, let's first see the output. The figure object is not empty now, we can see a rectangular shape with tick marks. This is actually an axes object. Now let's use the plot method of the axes object to plot a list of numbers against another list of numbers as shown here. Let's run the code and see the output. Now the axes object holds a line chart. In this way, we have created our first plot in OOPS approach. Now we can format our plot with various formatting options such as chart title, x-axis label, y-axis label, etc. See, the chart's x-axis is labeled with X and y-axis is labeled with Y. Before we proceed further, let's learn the usage of the add_axes method. We need to pass a list of 4 numbers to the add_axes method. The numbers may vary from 0 to 1. The numbers are left, bottom, width and height respectively. If we take 0 and 0 for left and bottom respectively, it means the bottom left corner of the figure. 0.1 as left means the rectangular plotting area will start 10% right from the left side. 0.1 as bottom means the bottom of the rectangle will start at 10% above from the bottom. 0.8 as width means width of the rectangle will be 80% of the total width of the whole figure. 0.8 for the height is also similar. In this example, we have set left to 0.1, bottom to 0.1, width to 0.8, height to 0.8 for better visibility of the x-axis, y-axis, ticks, labels, etc. Now let's check the output after varying the left, bottom, width and height values a few times. Carefully observe the values for left, bottom, width, and height of the plot and the corresponding output. Now let's talk about the Matplotlib.pyplot.figure method. We may supply a number of arguments to the figure method. Let's check these examples one by one. Figure size, width and height in inches. Dot per inches. Face color. Edge color. Edge color is not visible as the line width is very low. Set the line width. Now we can see a thin red line around the edges. Hope that you have understood the things that is already discussed. These are very important for working with Matplotlib plots in OOPS approach. So, we have got a fair amount of basic idea of Matplotlib plots in OOPS approach. But before we proceed further, let's clearly understand the anatomy of Matplotlib plots. Let's consider the plot shown on the screen. We will write the required codes for generating this plot in the next part of this lesson, but before that, let's identify the various elements of this plot. It will help you immensely in understanding Matplotlib plotting codes. The whole graphic image that we see on the screen is the figure object. The figure object is the whole canvas where the plot has been drawn. That is, the figure objects hold the other elements of the plot. Next comes the axis object. The figure object should have at least one axis object. Axis object is the area of the figure object where plots are drawn. In this image, the rectangular area with x-axis, y-axis, curved lines, and various other elements is the axis object. We have already learned about the figure object and the axis object. Now let's learn about a few more common elements of a plot. These borderlines around the rectangular plot area are known as spines. And this is the title of the plot. This is x-axis label. And this is y-axis label. And these are major tick marks, 2, 4, 6, etc. Between two major ticks there are few minor ticks. This is a line. Note that we have drawn a line chart here. These circular dots are the markers. We may use many other markers also. These are legends. The horizontal and vertical lines inside the rectangular area are known as grid lines. These are few common elements of a Matplotlib plot. So, we have learned the basics. Let's write a complete program to generate the sine and cosine curves as shown earlier. Just follow me along while I code. I will explain the code wherever required as comments later. We had written this code initially. It produced a plot covering almost the entire figure object. Let's check it again. Now we will modify this code to add another axis object to the figure and generate two plots side by side in the same figure object. So, let's change the code. As we can see, now there are two axis objects on the same figure object. Let's put some additional codes for formatting. Let's add another axis object just below the above two axis objects. Now we can see three axis objects on the same figure object. Now let's put some additional codes for plotting something on these new axis objects. In this lesson we have learned how to generate plots in Matplotlib in OOPS approach. Here we have drawn the figure and axis objects from the scratch. In our next lessons we will learn how to achieve the same using subplots. So, let me finish here. If you found this video useful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to SuMyPyLab for more such useful tutorials. Thanks for watching. See you in our next lesson. Until then, take care. Bye.